A lot of the learning at the school occurs through age-mixed play. So you've got kids who can't read are playing with kids who can read. And they're learning to read, not necessarily because the kid who can read is deliberately teaching reading, but simply because reading is going on. And the kids who can't read are hearing the words and seeing the words, especially nowadays on a computer screen, and they're picking it up. Older kids love to read to little kids. You'd go through the school almost any time of day, and you'd see teenagers with little kids on their laps, and the teenagers reading books to them. So in a world that's surrounded by the written word, children learn to read. And there's never actually been a student at the school who hasn't learned to read. They learn to read at various different ages. Some learn to read very young. Some could read before they start school. That's pretty much true at any school. Some don't learn to read until they're 8 or 9, even 11, 12 years old is maybe about the oldest that we found. In that initial study, there were two young people who had come to the school at age 15 at different times. One was a young man and one was a young woman, unable to read. They'd been passed along in the public school, diagnosed as dyslexic, so they had an excuse not to be able to read. Both of them told me in interviews that they learned to read within a few months of being at Sudbury Valley. And I asked them what was different, and they said, well, for the first time, I didn't have to be frightened about not reading. Nobody thought it was a bad thing that I couldn't read. I didn't have to be nervous about reading. I could ask. They did ask for some help from staff members sounding out words, but it didn't take a lot of help. But in that context where the pressure was taken off, they learned how to read. You don't have to encourage people to learn how to read or pressure them to learn how to read. In fact, that's generally counterproductive, and it certainly is in the context of this school.